biology. His supervisors are Sean, Colin and Nathan Hart. Ryan's thesis title is The Role of Electroreception in the Feeding Behaviour of Elasmobranchs, and his 3-minute thesis title is Survival of the Stillest, Predator Avoidance Strategies of Shark Embryos.
During the 9 months of development before birth, we are lucky that we have our mothers there to protect us until we are strong enough to emerge. Unfortunately, many animals, like sharks, aren't quite so lucky. Approximately 1/3 of all known species of sharks will develop completely independently of their mothers, inside an egg case like this one. In fact, a shark would actually eat her own offspring at birth if it wasn't for a hormone released to suppress her appetite. Now, developing sharks will have to survive many months to even years inside these egg cases attached to a simple piece of seaweed like this. So, how do they survive if they are unable to leave the egg to find food? Well, they actually have all the food they need inside the egg case with them, as they are nourished by a protein-rich yolk sac. This yolk will provide them with all the energy they need to fully develop. Then, when they are strong enough, they'll break out of the egg and go in search of food of their own. But how can they avoid being eaten by predators if they were unable to leave or move the egg case? Well, to understand this, we need to learn a little about shark senses. Now, sharks are very unique because they actually have 2 more senses than you and I. And one of these is a vibration sense that allows them to detect movements of fish swimming around them. And the other, an electro sense, that allows them to detect the tiny bioelectric fields produced by these moving fish. They do this using tiny pores found all over the surface of their head that detect electric fields. So as the fish swims past the shark, the electric signal received at each of these pores varies. And it's this variation that allows them to detect the location of that prey. Now, sharks can use this ability not only to detect prey, but also predators. So I thought I would put them to the test and see if a developing shark, at such an early stage in life, could use its electrosensory system to detect the presence of a predator. I found that when I stimulated them with very weak electric fields that mimic those of larger predatory fish, the embryos would actually respond by stopping their breathing and staying completely still. This, in turn, would reduce their own bioelectric field, making it increasingly difficult for the predator to locate them. Now, after seeing this same response time after time, I found that the embryos would actually respond for different lengths of time according to the strength of the electric field they experienced. So effectively, some signals would pose more of a threat and cause the embryo to stop breathing and stay still for a longer period of time. Now, you may ask, why is this important? Well, here we have a perfect model of how a controlled shark reacts to very specific electric fields. By taking what we have learned here and applying this to larger adult sharks, we can learn more about how sharks will respond to electric repellent devices like those worn by scuba divers and surfers. That way, in the future, we can develop better, more effective devices to keep you and I safe in the water, and hopefully, in the process, help protect our next generation of sharks.
Thanks, Ryan. That was very special. I think, is there a message in this for all of us to stay still whenever we see a shark in the water?
Yeah, potentially, maybe. Although, unfortunately, with the time frame, we can't really go into the greater details about how it works, but it kind of incorporates other systems as well, because as I mentioned, sharks have this vibration sense. This plays quite a large role in this as well, because obviously the stiller you are, the less vibrations you give off, and so it's really kind of a multidisciplinary thing. You really got to take into account all these senses to how it works. So it's not just our electric field we have to be worried about. There's a lot of things going on in there. So
okay, great. Thanks very much.
Our next presenter is Stuart Craig. Stuart is in the 4th year of his PhD within the School of Psychology.